So I've often thought when Farage got in, he would never ever survive the full term. I still do not think he will survive, uh, to the next general election as being the MP for Clacton. I think something somewhere down the line will get him. I think it is absolutely inevitable. Um, but one of the things I think that will get him, of course, is his finances. Farage continuously accepts a lot of big money from a lot of big donors from a lot of other areas as well. So it will be very, very interesting to see what, shall we say, Farage's full finances are, for example. After all, he tried to hide a lot of that when the banking coots scandal was came up. If you remember all that, saying, I'm more rich than you think. I should be able to, bank at Coots. These people saying that no, I no longer meet the wealth requirement to have an account. They're just talking nonsense. It's really about, I'm being chastised, I'm being persecuted. And of course, we covered that. We followed that. We followed every single report that was written by Nat West to even the independent ombudsman. All said no, they were well within their right to do what they did. But of course, by that time, Farage had moved on from that and raised a lot of money, of course, from that, which, well, he never followed up on either. So, where did all that money go? Probably, as we'll see in a moment, probably to launching the whole Farage gin, which, yes, Nigel Farage has his own gin, believe it or not. However, as you're about to see, not doing very well. And one of the things, of course, that Farage will have to say how much he is getting from this Farage gin, because it doesn't look, by the rumors, to be selling very well at all. So I wonder why. But before we do get into this as well, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there will be the Patreon page. There's the Buy Me Coffee link. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, as always, there is the Pony Club down below as well. So as always, thank you very much for all the support that you guys do show the channel. And let's crack on into having a look at some of Nigel Farage's little finances, because I do think this is going to be the thing that gets Farage. I really, really do. We've known about Farage's sort of financial dealings, but of course he hasn't been, an MP. So he hasn't had to declare a lot of these things and has been able to get away with not declaring a lot of these things for quite some time. However, now he's an MP. Things have changed quite significantly. He will have to declare all these things, and we were going to probably find out a lot of things in, well, certainly August 4th, a very important date. So put that in your calendars, because we're going to find out. And if not, Parliament will then act. So we'll see what happens. But we go to the New European on this, with the title of Farage is now forced to explain his finances. So, after now being roundly condemned for forsaking his Clacton constituents to jetting off to the Republican convention in a vain attempt to see Donald Trump, Nigel Farage now potentially faces further embarrassment closer to home. And bear in mind, that was an absolute embarrassment. He jetted off to see Donald Trump, and at no point did he get that big photo opportunity or that video interview that he would have absolutely loved to have with Donald Trump. So it was an absolute embarrassment. And quite rightly, you saw, and you can even see throughout that week, Farage getting constantly being frustrated, saying, oh, well, why aren't you in Clacton? Why aren't you in Clacton? So will he be jetting off to see Trump and join in the campaigning close to November? I think he will. I think he absolutely will as well. So, so much for the residents of Clacton having their, surgeries, getting to interact with their MP. And bear in mind, I think I've said this before, I am now following a lot of the Clacton social media accounts, because I can guarantee you, there will come stories about people's interactions if he does start to have surgeries, or people or local people's interaction with Farage, or should we say lack of interaction with Farage on that front. So we'll see what happens on there, but expect us to be talking about some of that maybe in the not too distant future. So back to this. So he now faces further embarrassment, potentially close to home, with parliamentary authorities expecting him to account for his extra parliamentary earnings by the 4th of August. So, again, as we said at the beginning, put that in your diaries because that is going to be very interesting. So, Mandrake hears that it will be the money the reform leader isn't making every bit as much as the money he is that could raise eyebrows. As for instance, for to cash in on the Farage brand by even launching his own Farage gin has now left him something of a hangover. The Farage gin has reported a 17,000 downturn in reserves last year, leaving it over £6,000 in the red. That doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like the Farage brand can actually sell. So it looks like that the Farage gin probably going to be extinct. But hey, maybe if it does go extinct, maybe you should try and get one as a potential collector's item, and then maybe pour it down the drain. I don't know, but probably don't. But who knows? Could be one of those weird things that happened in the alcohol world. It happens a lot in the whiskey world where you have these what they call ghost bottles from dead distilleries that did like like a really short run on a particular brand, or a distillery that lasted like 4 or 5 years and produced like, I don't know, 700 bottles, and then that's it of a whiskey that ends up costing like a couple of £1,000. But hey, weirder things have happened, but who knows. So Farage's financial affairs are, to put it mildly, complicated. On the speaker's circuit alone, he is on the books of no fewer than 6 agencies, as well as bookable via the direct office of Nigel Farage. And he is for hire in the UK via the NMP Live, Champions UK, and Prime Performers. And his fee on MPM is listed between £16,000 to £25,000. So an expensive man to do one talk. But across the pond, he is obviously represented by Celebrity Talent International, the All American Speakers Bureau, and the Speaker Booking Agency US. Has now his fee reported on the Celebrity Talent International between $40,000 to $74,000. That's a lot of money. But again, the American speaker circuit is very, very lucrative. If you ever get on that, then you do a couple of talks on there and you can be made for life. But this is where it starts to get interesting. Parliamentary authorities also require Farage to list his shareholdings worth at least £75,000 or more. And this was comprising at least 15% or more of a company's also capital share. Thorn in the side, which he also uses to list his freelanced earnings. While he will be there, he will also be very dormant on the video production firm Farage Media, where he retains at least a 60% stake. So again, gotta see what all these things are, where all these earnings are. But this is how Farage makes his money sometimes. And there's a lot of people saying, well, what really goes on in some of these companies? Are these shareholdings from a company, etc.? He's got to declare all these financial interests. But so far, he hasn't. But he's got until the 4th of August to do so. So he hasn't got long. And of course, Reform UK. Of course, a business. And Farage holds 8 of the 15 shares in issue. His 145,000 shares in GB News, also held via all perspectives, may, however, escape declaration given the 84.1 million it is now racked in ongoing losses up to March of 2023. My word, people are pumping money into that GB news. But we said it when it launched. It'll be around for a while. People will not let it fall. People will just keep on pumping money into it to keep it afloat for as long as possible. But my word, 84.1 million in losses. Just a whole lot of money being thrown down the drain down there. That's for certain. But Farage will also have to account for all his property holdings, also worth more than £100,000 or more. And these will also those that generate more than £10,000 an annum in rental income. He owns 2 coastal properties and a parcel of land via Thorn in the Side, as well as his home in Kent. He will also have to report earnings over £300, which means he will have to disclose how much he makes as a GB news host, as well as donations over £1,500. Gifts and benefits over £300 also need reporting. His visits outside the UK worth over £300 as well as book royalties. So Farage is going to have to announce all that, saying what he gives and how much he gives and where he gets in donations and who he gets donations from. That's going to be quite interesting as well. So he's taken great lengths to deny his, shall we say, his economic activity, saying, "Oh, there's no money in politics." For years, that's been his line. Whenever he gets asked, he said, "Oh, no, there's no money in politics." But for someone who's been in politics this amount of time, just on this alone, he's seemed to have made a lot of money in politics. And we're going to find out just exactly how much. And then they're going to starting some very uncomfortable questions like, okay, well, who's so-and-so? Why did they give you this money? What's this organization? What are they about? Why did they give Farage all this money? Does he believe in what they're saying? And so on. So Farage is going to have, if he does decide to do this, he's going to have a lot of very uncomfortable questions to ask. And then, of course, there will be penalties he will have to do and start paying if he doesn't. And if this continues, well, then he's going to get brought up in front of the select committee, and well, they might very well throw the book at him quite significantly. But of course, Farage will be, "Oh, I'm just a political martyr." I'm sure he'll be pulling that card very soon over the next in the next 2 weeks or so. So yeah, he is going to have to explain a lot of his finances. He's going to have to explain a lot of finances and where all this money is coming from, all the sources, why he gets all this money. So we're going to find out very quickly. And I think this is what it's going to end up getting him. I really do. I really do think this is what it's going to end up getting him. It's going to be some sort of financial scandal, or he's going to receive donations from someone that he doesn't really want to sort of, make public, but he has to because he's an MP. So yeah. Surprise, surprise. I do not think he's going to last the full 4 years. I really don't. Either this will get him, or he will leave because he just doesn't like being an MP. It'll be one of those two things. I will be very surprised if he's here by the next general election. Very, very surprised indeed. So, as always, let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.